Okay, so we've got our top here, and like I said, we haven't got it glued together or anything yet. So what we need to do is we need to determine where we're going to position it this way, and really all we're looking for here, let me just raise this up so that's not in our way. What we're really looking for here, is we just want to make sure we bring this up enough that we're going to cover everything on our body. So we're looking at right about here. Okay. So we want to line this up with the center of our neck. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just getting we're just getting a basic idea here. So we're looking pretty good there. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to spread this apart a bit, and we're going to mark one of these pieces right where the neck, right where the back of the fretboard is. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to line these two pieces up. You can see I put an X on it where the book match lines up or whatever. That's going to be the line we're going to go by here. And I'm just going to transfer that pencil line over to the other piece as well once we get them lined up here. That's good there. So I'll just transfer that line over. Okay, so now we have where our neck is going to start. So now that we have that, what we need to do is we need to take a measurement here, and per our scale drawing it should be 2 11/16. It's bang on. So we need to split that in half. So half of 2 11/16 is 1 inch and 11/32. So we need to measure off of this seam here 1 inch and 11/32. So bam, we need to measure that, and we need to measure the same over here, right there. Okay, so you can see we've got our line here and our line here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from the edge here, from the end, excuse me, measure down to this mark that we made previously for this measurement here. You know, the mark we made for the end of the fretboard. And it looks like we're at 7 inches. So I'm going to measure down where we made our other mark for our width here. I'm going to measure down from the edge 7 inches again. And I'm going to do the same down here, because we know that this will be 7 inches as well. 7 inches and 7 inches. And we'll just draw this line between. Okay, and then we need to draw the line between here and here. Okay, so we know that this is this line here symbolizes the back of our fretboard, back end of our fretboard. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to measure up. We've made a mark here on the neck where the body meets the neck here. So we need to take a measurement up from there, and looks like we have exactly 4 3/16 of an inch. So we got to measure up 4 3/16 of an inch from this line here. 4 3/16 is right here. Okay, and we got to do the same on this side as well. We got to take a measurement too here, by the way, and that is 2 7/16 exactly. So now what we're going to do is at this point here, we're going to split 2 7/16 in half, which is 1 inch and 7/32, and we're going to mark these locations here, and then that will give us our 2 points that we can draw a line, and will give us our proper taper here for this piece. So we've got our points here and here and here and here, and that's going to give us our angle that we're going to cut this on. Okay, so we'll just transfer, or we'll extend this line here, line up these 2 points, when we cut this out on the bandsaw, we're going to cut it out roughly, and then we're going to go back and we're going to file and sand this to get it to fit just right. Okay, so we've got that, and now we got to score this one here as well. Looking good. Okay, that's our taper here. So when we line this up, by all intents and calculations, that should work. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I can actually cut this area off on here. That's probably what I'm going to do, and I'll actually probably just do a back cut like this, just so that when we go to set this on to lay out the rest of the body, because we haven't got the rest of the neck, we haven't got it cut to the proper width, so this will just give us clearance to, so you know, this piece isn't in the way or whatever and binding on this as we're trying to work with it. So I'm going to take this over to the bandsaw, I'm going to cut these pieces out, and we'll come back, we'll fit them together and see how they fit, and then we will, then we'll go from there. Okay, so we've been working at this for a little bit, and looks like we got it pretty much perfect here. And a couple things you got to remember while you're doing this process is whenever after you do your initial cut and then you put this thing up against here, in order to make sure that you have a true reading of where your piece is going to be sitting, you have to make sure that this this edge here is lined up with your center line on your body blank. Because if it's not, and say it's positioned like this, well, we know that this cut's already perfect, but if you look, if it's positioned off, then it looks like it's not perfect at all, so it's going to give you a false sense of where you're going to be when you're finished doing this. So you got to make sure that this is lined up on the center line. It's lined up, looks like it's pretty good. This one goes nice and tight, and everything looks nice and tight around here, so we're ready to go as far as gluing these pieces up. And to glue these up, we're just going to use the same you know, same steps that we used to do the cedar for the back, with the, you know, the masking tape and no clamping pressure, and because we know that joint fits nice and tight together. Okay, so here we are. We've got our piece glued together, and we got it set on the guitar here, and we don't really have a lot of movement there. That's good. It looks like our line's right on the center, so we're good. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to take this, we're going to spin it around in the vise here. Just like that. And we're going to make sure we're pushed up against the neck here. So now we're just simply going to trace our pattern here, and the part that we just carved the armrest into, we won't mark that right away. We'll use the template to mark that piece, but we'll get most of it marked here, and the more that we get marked here, the easier it's going to be to line the template up when we want to. So just mark as much as we can with the actual body. And the rest we'll do with the template. Gonna line it up with the rest of this. Make sure where we want to be here. That looks pretty good. So now, just continue this. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to take this over to the bandsaw and I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to stay just outside the line, probably 16th or whatever. And then what we'll do is we'll keep it overcut whenever we laminate it on here. I'm actually going to keep this area fairly overcut because this is going to wrap around. So I'm going to put it into the vacuum press, and I'm going to get the press to mold it to the body here, to the armrest on the body. So when I do that, it's probably gonna lose a little bit of dimension here. So I'm coming pretty close to the edge there. I'm really hoping that that works out as well as I want it to. But anyways, we're gonna get going on that. So I'll cut this out, and I'll set up the vacuum bag, and we're gonna do a dry run in the vacuum bag first. So what I'll do is I'll wet the piece. I'll stick it on the instrument. I'll tape it into place temporarily or whatever, and then I'll put it in the vacuum press, and I'll get it under a vacuum and see if it's actually enough, if the vacuum press is enough to actually bend this, or if I have to bend it a little bit before I actually stick it on the mold. So let's go over to the bandsaw, we'll cut this out, and then yeah, we'll get the vacuum press set up. Okay, so we got this top cut out here, and we're looking pretty good all the way around. The idea is we want to make sure that you know, we're proud of the actual body here. This is our finished shape. So what we're going to do is we're going to sand the top back to that line. We're going to set up the sander with a guide on it. We might even do it with a router, and then just even here with the sander. We'll have to see. But anyways, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to break out the vacuum press, and I'm going to do a dry run on this. So what I'll do is I'll wet this area here that needs to be bent, and I'm going to glue this all in, or I'm not glue it, sorry, I'm going to tape this all in place so it doesn't move around. Tape it really well. I'm going to stick it in the vacuum, get a vacuum on the bag, and when I get a full vacuum, I'm going to see if the vacuum press itself is strong enough to pull this down nice and tight onto this armrest here. And if it is, that's great. We'll just pull it out of the bag, we'll apply glue, we'll get it on there, tape it back in place, and we'll do our run for keeps. If not, then what I'll have to do is I'll have to actually heat this up a bit, bend it manually. Once it cools off, it'll take a bit of shape, it will spring back a bit, and then we'll put it in the vacuum press and see if that's enough, with it pre-bent a little bit. So I'm going to clean up a little bit around here. That carving really made quite a bit of a mess, so do a little bit of a cleanup around here, and then we'll break out the vacuum press. We'll check that out.